Hi, friend, and welcome back to Marvelous Friends, your home for all things Marvel Cinematic Universe and beyond. I'm Rhett, and today we are on episode 11 of season 3 of Jessica Jones. Roll that credit. Looks like we're receiving Trish episode number 2 for the season as we follow everything that has happened these last couple episodes from Trish's perspective, which means it's a lot of repeat events, so we'll probably move relatively quickly and it be a short video today. Now, it picks up from the moment that Trish finds Dorothy's body and receives Jessica's call. From there, heading to Salinger's to take him on, and it turns out Salinger's a lot better at pinpointing what her powers are than we are because he instantly realizes that she can see in the dark. Him, of course, waiting in the dark to find Jessica and realizing that Trish does not need the dark to see him. We also learn that there are no razor claws. In fact, it was just one single deep kind of digging gash across his face that Trish does. Anything really anyone can do if kind of enraged enough. And so I also will say that this seemed a little disappointing as the level of physical damage she does to him in this scene, from the wounds that we kind of have gotten to see up to this point and everything that we've heard about him being in critical condition, stuff like that. The amount of actual infliction of damage Trish does to Salinger in this scene doesn't really align to that, in my opinion. I'm just going to briefly touch on the major differences in the plot points that we saw in the previous episodes to this one. As it turns out, Jessica is not the only one to have visited Salinger in the hospital. Trish showing up to finish her job. Now, of course, Salinger talks her down and raises a few good arguments here, as if he were to be murdered here in the hospital would be much worse for Jessica, because not only would they take her in, but they might likely do more, considering she is also wanted for assaulting a few cops, and cops take care of their own. And we do learn, though, that this is not going to be the last cop that Trish takes on, as we know that she is responsible for Nussburmer, which is probably going to be explained in this episode as well. Either way, she is frustrated to leave, but she does get a little bit of information from Salinger, telling Trish how to find and where to find Dorothy's murder portrait. Trish then going to Dorothy's apartment and finding it in old scrapbooks of Patsy memorabilia. This does explain to us then what this mysterious file folder that Trish was carrying around a lot in these last few episodes, as it contains that photo. We also learn that it is Trish that approaches and initiates the partnership with Eric, using his guilt for not stepping up earlier against him to convince him to help her, as she desperately wants a win in this whole hero game, a phrase that she's used multiple times throughout the season so far. He reluctantly gives up Nussburmer, and the two concoct a plan. The plan is to get him to confess on tape to killing the boys and the drug dealers for personal gain. All things are going to plan until they make their leave, when Nussburmer makes one more run at Eric. Now, to try to save Eric, Trish quickly responds and kicks Nussburmer out of the way, but this causes him to fall and land headfirst on a metal pipe. He then, of course, being knocked unconscious and bleeding out. So it does turn out the murder of Nussburmer was a complete and total accident, and we do see Trish is the one that pulls the badge off at this point when the two quickly leave. Now, these two should not work together, because this is only progressively getting worse, and we know it gets worse from here. The first time that Trish tried to help Eric and work with him in some kind of capacity, we saw her accidentally impale Sal, and now she has accidentally killed Nussburmer, and then we know that clearly something's going to go wrong and she's going to end up killing Montero later, I'm sure, in this episode as well. Next interaction is with Jerry. Jerry showing up to finally get the conversation she wanted in the first place with Trish, to hopefully add her to the roster of supers that the law firm uses to their own benefit. Now, this doesn't exactly go to plan, with Trish showing some serious hostility towards Jerry and obviously not being a fan of the woman still for representing Salinger, even though technically she doesn't know, of course, that she is planning to drop Salinger as a client. Jerry, though, makes the proposition and offers her up Dimitri as a potential target, and when she offers to destroy all the footage and proof of who Trish is as the masked vigilante that she has found on that footage, Trish relinquishes, though she does not affirm to us as an audience if she will actually go after Dimitri for Jerry or not. But as Jerry is getting to leave, Trish does make a threat, using a phrase that Jerry mentioned earlier against her, basically saying that Trish is someone who goes after bad people who have done bad things. And we all know, of course, that Jerry is not necessarily the best person and has done some pretty despicable things over the course of her story in these series on Netflix. With Jessica being this prime suspect in Nussbaumer's death now, Eric and Trish are forced to work together again to try to provide proof that she is not the one who did the murder, concocting another plan to go after someone else in Eric's little list of blackmailers to kind of maybe alleviate some of the blame and hopefully go after one of them to kind of pose and then to go after one of them so that they can ID as the masked vigilante as the one who was after them and not Jessica. The one they choose is Montero, the land developer that we see at the end of the last episode and the folder that Jessica finds when searching Eric's apartment. To do this, though, they want to make sure they have a good alibi for Jessica, so making sure she is in public or with people who can really affirm that they were there with Jessica and prove her innocence in the whole matter as well. However, Jessica tailing Trish after the funeral throws a huge wrench in the plan. So, noticing this, Eric quickly dives away and calls the cops. This is what resulted in that perfect timing of the cops showing up and taking Jessica away. This now takes us to the Montero construction site, where the plan, of course, does not go as planned, though the end result we do get to that I think will be beneficial and as the main goal for it. Here, we see Trish trying to interrogate Montero to get his confession. However, he is not confessing in the way that Trish really wants, almost kind of drawing a similarity here between Salinger's kind of quest in his little murder ritual to receive the truest confession of someone's truth. At one point, though, Trish actually sees Salinger's face and in this kind of moment flashes into rage, beating Montero to death. At this point, it is that Eric that comes in and sees what happens, which causes Trish to suddenly stop. Luckily, though, like I said, Trish does have the badge and promptly throws it on the body, which then, when it is found, I'm sure will kind of prove that Jessica did not do either of the murders because she was in custody at the time and could not have planted the badge that they could not find on her possession when searching her apartment was now present at this crime scene. Eric, seeing this scene, is disgusted and immediately wants out. He could, of course, write off the first one as it was an accident, but seeing Trish clearly lose it and kind of amping up her aggression to murder Montero was a final straw for him. However, Trish is quick to point out the fact that his headache has subsided, much like it did after Nussbaumer died earlier in the episode, showing him that he has a gift to make the world a better place, and he should give that gift back. However, he is insistent that he is not going to continue on with this partnership. Trish, of course, scuffs it off, saying that she is going to go ahead and make the world right in her own way, no matter what, and that she does not need Eric, running off, saying that she has a target already locked on. This, of course, immediately triggers a headache for Eric as he overcomes with the pain. Interesting enough, the entire episode is sprinkled with flashbacks of an early day Trish as she gets her initial role as Patsy. This kind of showing us just everything she went through with her mother as she forced her into this role, something that she may have not been necessarily 100% ready for. Something that we've also seen very similarly done in this entire series by Trish, showing us as the audience just how much she is like her mother, pushing Jessica for so long to try to be the hero that she thought she should be, and now doing the same to Eric. Though, of course, ultimately we see that she has her own kind of mindset of how things are done and is going to do it her way, whether or not anyone else likes it. I think this is going to be very important, kind of a mentality for Trish as we see her kind of spiral down from here moving forward. It is in my mind kind of left up whether or not Trish is going to go after Dimitri or Jerry, though I have a feeling it will be Dimitri. Jerry being a very handy resource for Trish as she has gotten so many of her targets in the past from Trish's law office, though of course those hits are becoming increasingly aggressive. I also want to say good for Eric for stepping up and stepping out of this heroic perversion of Trish's view. I don't think that he is done in the heroic business, as I said, but he is definitely done with Trish's twisted view right now of what that hero is. But this is bad news for Jessica, as now that she not only stepped to have to deal with everything with Salinger and finalize that in these next few episodes, but also now has to deal with her sister as well, who has clearly become our secondary villain for the season. which I did not expect at all. I did say that I thought Trish was going to spiral and become a true problem for Jessica as she continues trying to push into this hero realm, but I did not see it going down this way for sure. What did you all think of this second Trish perspective episode? And did you like all the little flashbacks to early Patsy? Let me know your opinions down in those comments. We are almost there with only a couple episodes left, and there's a lot to wrap up still, so I'm very excited, but make sure to subscribe and set those alerts so you don't miss a thing as we wrap up the final season of Jessica Jones. Until then, though, I love you all 3,000. I hope you have a marvelous rest of your day. Bye, friend.